As a consequence of the loss of the 63,000 support, Bitcoin has seen a steep correction to retest the major horizontal level at 60,000. Will Bitcoin continue toward the downside, breaking its bull market uptrend, or are we closer to the bottom than most think? In today's video, these are questions we're answering. Let's dive in. Okay, MegaWhale team, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Bitcoin has seen a steep correction to the $60,000 high time frame support. Alongside this, we have seen the total cryptocurrency market cap also retest a major macro support level, and altcoins seem to be bouncing steadily. In today's video, we are discussing the macro and short-term implications of this recent correction, where Bitcoin is likely to go next. Is this the bottom, and potential worst and best case scenarios? Before we do get into it, smash that like button, hit that comment button, and subscribe to the channel. We post daily videos of Bitcoin focusing on the facts, the data, the technical and the structural information. No hype, no BS, no emotion, pure raw TA. If that is the kind of content you're interested in, join us on Telegram. It is the first link down below. You'll get access to charts, updates, videos, educational posts, news events, and everything you need to stay in the loop of cryptocurrency with Bitcoin and the relevant economic news. If you are interested in taking your trading to the next level, join us on VIP. We post trading setups with exact entries, exact targets, exact stop losses, trade justification, exclusive analysis, and so much more. The channel has been around since 2021. We have nearly 700 members, and we also have an exclusive group chat, a general chat, trading chart and education chat, news, help, daily video, and trade setup chat. If that is what you're interested in, go in and contact me in the pinned comment of the free channel by clicking my name or clicking these links for more info. Let's go ahead and jump on in. So, taking a preliminary look at that market data, 24-hour volume is up 203%, sitting at 191 billion. 24-hour liquidations up 400%, sitting at 372 million. Of the 372 million in liquidations, a massive 311 have come from long positions and 61 million have come from short positions. Taking a brief look at the last 24 hours of price action, we can see Bitcoin has dropped steadily towards that major 60,000 support upon the breakdown of that temporary support at 63,000. With that correction, we have seen a bit of a wick underneath that major $60,000 region into the low 68k region, again liquidating a massive amount of longs in the process. As of right now, Bitcoin is currently sitting within that $60,000 support, and we're discussing in just a moment what we expect to occur next. Moving over to the broader market, so DXY have seen a little bit of a pullback on the short term, as well as that RSI breaking or dropping back underneath that downtrending trend line. We can see with this RSI trend line, this of course is going to be a representation of momentum over the period of price action since October 2023. This downtrend on the DXY and the downtrend on the RSI lines up with that macro bull market uptrend we see with Bitcoin. This uptrend really started in October 2023 and has spanned the entirety of the time since. So therefore, we can say for a fact that this downtrend on the DXY corresponds with the uptrend on our risk asset markets. So we were to see the DXY break upwards through here, this would be very, very bearish for risk assets, and we'd be expecting high time frame reversal. So as of right now, while the DXY is underneath this level, we are technically still bullish in the higher time frame for our risk asset market. If we do see a break upwards, that will change. If we do take a look at the RSI, we can see the RSI is a leading indicator for the directional movements for the DXY. If we see that RSI break and close upwards on the weekly, that is going to be a warning sign that the DXY could potentially continue upwards as well. While both of these remain under their respective trend lines, we are not expecting breakouts as of right now. Therefore, this is a pretty good thing for Bitcoin. Moving over to the broader markets, the S&P 500 has seen a red candle. Now, a lot of fear going on with the S&P 500 in regards to the Nvidia stock. The Nvidia stock is up a massive amount. If you haven't looked at that, go ahead and bring it up on TradingView. Take a look at that chart. It is absolutely mind-boggling. But if we do see corrections across the board for Nvidia, we could see the S&P 500 come back down a little bit, and that could spill over into traditional, alternative risk asset markets such as cryptocurrency. Something to consider. Let's go ahead and wrap up that segment and jump into Bitcoin's analysis before we do a quick word from today's video sponsor, and we'll jump on in. I'd like to introduce our partner, BitUnix. BitUnix is a global, non-KYC, no country restriction exchange, making it a perfect exchange to trade on if you're from the USA, from Canada, the Netherlands, or just prefer to trade without KYC. This exchange is a futures and spot exchange with over 200 different trading pairs, and some of the lowest fees in the game. If you sign up with my link down below, you'll get access to 15% off your trading fees, as well as an exclusive reward center where you can claim up to a multitude in USDT prizes. So go ahead and sign up with my link down below for 15% off, and I'll see you in there. Okay guys, let's go ahead and jump on into it, and as we can see, Bitcoin has retested that major $60,000 horizontal support level. Now this support level has many implications. Number one, it is going to be the pi cycle high top on the weekly chart from 2021. It also marks the point of which, when broken in 2021, marked that deviation and thus started the macro downtrend. And if we move forward into this cycle, we can see it almost corresponds with our bull market uptrend. So many points of confluence around about this 60K region, not to mention it is the base of support Bitcoin has been challenging since February 2024. So an area of massive confluence and thus massive importance, not only in terms of the short-term price action, but the macro directional outlook for Bitcoin moving into the next coming months. So let's take a brief look at this right now. If we look at the price action, we can see Bitcoin is retesting 60,000. A loss of 60,000 on the weekly could pose a big risk for Bitcoin. If we look at it from a trend-based perspective, ever since we've started that bottom, we had our lows, we've had our higher lows on the price action the entire way up, even over here, and we created another higher low at 61,000 on the weekly chart. We currently have 6 days and 1 hour remaining on the current weekly candle, and therefore a weekly candle close underneath this low would be the first time a low has been taken out for Bitcoin since we established that initial higher low back in Feb 2023. So this is like basically a 1-year trend of where we've just been having higher lows, higher lows, higher lows developing. So a weekly candle close under 61 will be the first indication of a potential trend reversal occurring for Bitcoin. And therefore, in 6 days and 1 hour, we would like to see that candle close above this high time frame support at 61,000. That is the first point. If we look back in the past, where sometimes historical data is a good representation of what could occur in the future. So looking back at the past, what we saw that $60,000, $61,000 resistance level. We came up, we broke through that, and then we deviated underneath. Upon the deviation, this of course marked this as the 2021 top, and we saw a macro downtrend continue. If we look at this instance, we could see a similar scenario occur if we were to mark this as deviation from that resistance. Again, it is unlikely as it is support currently, but a worst case scenario, we mark it as deviation, we could see a downtrend continue. If we're looking at the positives, as of right now, Bitcoin is still within its high time frame horizontal range, and 60,000 is still an area of support. And support is support until it is not. As always, when we approach the support, majority gets bearish. As we approach resistance, majority gets bullish. So if you're looking for times to potentially enter, again, do your own due diligence, take a look at your own risk assessments. This would be the lowest point of risk in comparison to any other time within the period of the last 3 or so months in this range. Again, entering on support is always going to be a better idea than entering at resistance. If we take a look at the chart again, we do have one very important trend line. This trend line is going to be our bull market uptrend. This trend line is a representation of the bull market, which has been spanning now for about 8 months. Again, this trend line is equal to that downtrend on the DXY. If we were to drop below this trend line, technically that is when we are ending the current bull market. We are entering a high time frame bear market, or what you would call a bear market, high time frame downtrend. While we remain above this trend line, Bitcoin is still bullish. I've said it 100 times. Bitcoin is still bullish. Only when the trend ends do we see directional reversals in probabilities. At the moment, the probabilities are still in favor of a continuation upwards while this trend line holds. If we drop below this trend line, then that is when we invalidate the uptrend Bitcoin is currently in and we move into a new downtrend towards support. So let's talk about those two scenarios. If Bitcoin were to sustain above this trend line, nothing really is going to change. We are still going to be in this horizontal consolidation range with the same expectations as we have always had. And we'll talk about those expectations when we get to the short-term analysis. Again, when we enter a horizontal region from the downside up, the directional expectation is a follow through out of the region in the same direction in which we entered that horizontal region. Therefore, we would expect directional continuations over 72,000, provided this low is able to sustain. Furthermore, if we drop below this major uptrending support level, we are then looking at prior areas of support, particularly on our VIPV, to fill these gaps. Looking at this gap between 65.5 to 52.4 would be a perfect place for Bitcoin to come and sweep into, which would put the next target for Bitcoin at 52,400 if we were to drop below this trend line. So if we do see a drop below the trend line, the next target for Bitcoin is going to be 52,400, breaking its bull market uptrend and officially entering a macro downtrend. Again, while we sustain above this trend line, we are technically bullish. And that does mean if we do see an extended correction here, let's go down to a shorter time frame chart. If we do see an extended correction, we could theoretically see Bitcoin drop as low as this trend line, which is sitting at a price point around 56,200 to 56,400, and that would still remain bullish. So we could see Bitcoin drop into this region and bounce. That is perfectly acceptable. If that happens, perfectly fine. We are still looking for bounces from this trend line. The key level is going to be that trend line. This weekly level of support is a weekly level of support. Dropping below this level temporarily doesn't mean all that much. It is only if we close that weekly candle underneath 60,000 do we validate this as a proper breakdown on the higher time frame, and invalidation and deviation from 60,000 would actually result in that continuation. So if we do see daily candles, if we do see a flash crash below towards that 56,000, I would not be all that concerned. It is only if we start dropping weekly candles underneath or we start breaking below this macro uptrend would that cause for any sort of concern. If we take a look at the short-term price action now, as we can see, Bitcoin is very much in that region of support. As we said at the start of the video, we did see the breakdown and loss of that $63,000 support level, which was again this area of support. As a consequence of losing that level, we saw a rapid correction into 60,000. As we've said over the last few days, if we were to lose that level, we would see the price action drop to 60, which is exactly what we have seen now. Again, as always, when we see surges of volatility, all of our indicators, our momentum and moving average based indicators, all represent very, very bearish signs. They are again adjusting to the dramatic change in volatility over the perceived period of time, depending on the price time frame you are actually viewing it from. So we have to jump down to a very small time frame to gauge how the price action is developing. As of right now, we don't see any signs of immediate reversals developing. This is very much still the price trying to find its footing. We have not managed to break above the 50 EMA over here. We have not established any breakouts of prior highs. We have established a new low to watch out for, but that is about it. So we're looking at the short-term price action of Bitcoin. We are very much seeing chop occurring still toward that downside. For us to get any indication of strength again, we would want to see the price action begin to break through these prior highs set, particularly on the short term, 60,400. And if we're looking higher up, we'd really like to see a break over 61,600 to really indicate that this, in fact, was the bottom for Bitcoin. So again, Is this the exact bottom for Bitcoin? Very hard to say. I would say it's pretty unlikely this right here is the exact bottom, but is this range likely going to be the bottom for Bitcoin? I would say that it's considerably more likely. So however you want to position yourself, however you want to take that information and use that to your own discretion, that is up to you. Again, personally, what I am doing, I'm looking for some higher risk entries over here, which are very small capital, just to scale back into some positions. Again, I have not sold my Bitcoin. I have not sold all my altcoins. I took considerable profits on altcoins as Bitcoin broke down from the support level, but I'm looking to scale some back in as we approach this area of support with the knowing, I know 100% Bitcoin could see that extended continuation downwards over here, and we have to be aware of that possibility. But it's important to understand, I guess, zoom out and really focus on the macro picture in times like this and ask yourself one question. Is Bitcoin in a downtrend? This is the question we keep coming back to, right? Is Bitcoin in a high time frame downtrend? The answer is no. Bitcoin is not in a high time frame downtrend. None of the validations we look for to indicate the trend has reversed has occurred. There are only indications of reversals developing, but a developing reversal does not indicate the price has reversed. All of the indications that the price action is developing reversals is a consequence of the fact that the momentum and volatility has significantly shifted from a period of massively increased volatility to 3 months of sideways consolidation. What this does is it takes these moving average based indicators, okay, and it averages them out, and it shows us that overall the strength of the price action is falling, and people misinterpret decreasing strength for a macro reversal, okay? It is very important to understand that just because we see our oscillators, such as our RSI, decreasing, that is not an indication that the price action is entering a high time frame downtrend. We have to contextualize it against our high time frame supports and our current trend lines. If we were to see, again, a surge in volatility, these indicators would flip back bullish. They flip-flop between, depending on discrepancies between prior volatility and current volatility. The only reason they are signaling macro reversals is because of the fact that we have seen volatility go from massively high to massively low, and the market or the indicators, which are based on moving averages, represent that as weakness, represent that as bearishness. When we contextualize that information to a structural level or to a diagonal level on our trend-based perspectives, we can understand we are still above these trend lines. So although we are seeing weakness, this weakness is not an indication of structural reversals. Again, for the price action to change direction, we need to not only see our weakness, we need to see structural and trend-based breaks. Again, watching for those 3 points. We look for strength, we look for structure, and we look for trend. The weakness is not enough to validate the fact Bitcoin is in a high time frame downtrend. If we were to see the weekly candle close under 60,000, that would be a structural break, and we would have weakness. We would then have 2 out of the 3, increasing the probability that this is entering a high time frame downtrend. And if we were to see a trend-based break, which is diagonal, we would have 3 out of 3, completely validating the fact that we are in a high time frame downtrend. So keep that in mind, guys, when you're looking for validations of directional shifts. That is about it, guys. I want to quickly jump over to the total cryptocurrency market. Let's go ahead and jump over there. So as we can see, another point for Bitcoin, or another point for the bulls, is that the total cryptocurrency market is at support. And this is the easiest way to put it, guys. If you look at the total crypto market cap, this is a representation of the entire cryptocurrency market cap, okay? So if we were to look at our current yearly support level, this is still an area of support. It is coinciding with Bitcoin retesting its major 60 point of support. So we have confluence over here between these two charts. Therefore, we could say if Bitcoin were to lose that 57 diagonal level, we would see the total drop below its high time frame support. If we drop below this high time frame support, we officially enter a high time frame downtrend for the entirety of the cryptocurrency market. Therefore, if this is the high time frame downtrend, this is the bullish zone. We are in an uptrend. So while we remain above the support level, we are in an uptrend for cryptocurrency. If we drop below this level, we enter a high time frame downtrend for cryptocurrency. To keep it simple, bullish and bearish. That is literally it. If we move over to Bitcoin dominance chart, we can see Bitcoin dominance has dropped quite a significant amount in the last 24 hours. With that correction, we've seen a lot of altcoins push upwards, which is a good sign over here. We've seen the altcoin market retain some strength as Bitcoin is correcting. Again, if we want to see altcoins really take off, we will need to see a loss of this diagonal trend line. And with that drop in diagonal trend line, we will need to see the total market cap increase. If we see a total market cap increase with Bitcoin dominance falling, that would be a potential altcoin season occurring. If we were to see Bitcoin dominance continue upwards and total fall or decrease, that would bleed altcoins out significantly yet again, as we have seen over the last 3 weeks. So to summarize the video, guys, to put everything in perspective, Bitcoin has seen a pretty nasty correction, but the correction, if we zoom out, has only taken us to retest the range low of the high time frame support that Bitcoin has been challenging now for the last 3 months. We're currently at support. The high time frame indicators, representative of volatility and mostly strength, are showing signs of macro reversals. They're looking quite weak. That weakness is only a consequence of the fact we have seen now horizontal consolidation for 3 months after a period of massively increased volatility as a consequence of our ETF news. Bitcoin is approaching its major bull market uptrend, represented by our diagonal trend line. While these levels are able to sustain, Bitcoin does have a chance to continue upwards. If we were to see these levels lost, that would be the point at which the high time frame downtrend will initiate, and we would likely see a correction initially to 52,000. As of right now, while support is support, support is support until it is not, and therefore the probabilities are in favor of the bulls. Although it doesn't look that way, it is. And while these levels are remaining as support, you should be optimistic for the future, and only if these levels are lost, you should be cautious. That doesn't mean you shouldn't manage your risk. Your risk should have definitely been managed as we broke through this trend line. You should be in a position now where you are able to capitalize on this potential correction. So guys, pay attention to the charts. Look at it from face value. Do not get caught up in emotion and fear and greed and euphoria. Focus on your invalidations. When it comes to trading, everything is about risk. What is the risk of this decision? What are my invalidation points of this decision? At what point do I exit my trade? At what point do I take profits of my trade? All these questions need to be answered before you even click buy, before you even click sell, okay? So for everyone, that's going to be slightly different. Of course, you have to make up that decision yourself. From a charting perspective, all we see now is a retest of support. We have seen a mass liquidation underneath support, indicating that again, we could see a reversal develop from this region. Worst case scenario, we see a retest of that lower support, that uptrend. Best case scenario, we don't, and we continue higher. Again, for Bitcoin to enter that next phase upwards, the major brick wall of 72,000 will still need to be broken. Until we break through this region, we are not expecting macro directional continuations upwards. We break through this region, we expect those continuations upwards. So whether or not you want to decide to enter here, whether or not you want to wait for 57, or whether or not you want to play cautious until 72 to 73 breaks, that is a decision you have to make. Okay, thank you for watching. Have a great day. We'll catch you guys in the next video. See you then.